Only twice in the 21st century has the chair of St. Peter been vacant. Now, once again, the Catholic Church begins one of its most sacred and mysterious transitions. With the death of Pope Francis, the Vatican enters a period known as Sede Vacante, meaning the seat is vacant. From this moment, a unique process begins, steeped in centuries of tradition and spiritual significance. The responsibility first falls to the Camerlengo, the Chamberlain of the Holy Roman Church. During this time, he becomes the most senior official overseeing the Church's operations until a new pope is elected. Traditionally, the Camerlengo would confirm the pope's death by tapping his forehead 3 times with a silver hammer and calling his baptismal name. If there was no response, the death was declared official. While the modern Church no longer follows this exact ritual, the sentiment and symbolism remain. Once the death is confirmed, the Camerlengo removes the fisherman's ring, the papal signet, and destroys it. This act signifies the end of the pontificate and ensures that no future documents can be forged in the name of the deceased pope. The papal apartment is then sealed. The Vatican falls silent. What follows is a period of mourning known as the Novem Diales, 9 consecutive days of funeral rites and remembrance. Each day includes a public mass held in St. Peter's Basilica, where the faithful gather and leaders from around the world come to pay their respects. But Pope Francis made his wishes clear. He wanted a funeral not of grandiosity, but of humility. In 2024, he introduced changes to the burial rites for popes, favoring simplicity over spectacle. He requested a closed coffin, a modest funeral, and no burial beneath St. Peter's Basilica. Instead, his body will be laid to rest at Santa Maria Maggiore, one of Rome's oldest basilicas and a place of deep personal devotion for him throughout his papacy. As the Church enters a period of transition, attention begins to turn toward the election of a new pope. Behind Vatican walls, the College of Cardinals prepares for the Conclave, a highly secretive and deeply spiritual process that will determine the next pope. Currently, 138 cardinals under the age of 80 are eligible to vote. They arrive from every continent, representing the global face of the Catholic Church. Once inside Vatican City, they take residence at the Domus Sanctae Marthae, a modest guest house within the walls of the Holy See. During the conclave, they are completely sealed off from the outside world. There is no contact, no communication, and no access to news or devices. The conclave begins between 15 and 20 days after the Pope's death. On its first day, the cardinals process into the Sistine Chapel, surrounded by Michelangelo's towering frescoes. There, beneath the image of the Last Judgment, they begin the process of casting votes. Up to 4 votes take place each day. After each round, the ballots are burned in a stove within the chapel. Special chemicals are added to create smoke that signals the results. If no decision is reached, black smoke rises from the chimney. If a new pope is chosen, white smoke appears, and the bells of St. Peter's Basilica ring out across Rome. Once a cardinal receives a 2/3 majority, he is asked the pivotal question, "Do you accept your canonical election as Supreme Pontiff?" If he says yes, he chooses a papal name and is led to a small room beside the chapel, known as the Room of Tears, where he puts on the white vestments of the papacy for the first time. Soon after, he steps out onto the central balcony of St. Peter's. A senior cardinal announces the traditional Latin words, Habemus Papam, we have a pope. But before that moment, the world waits. The choice of a pope is not based on popularity, political alignment, or campaigning. It is a discernment, grounded in prayer and silence. Technically, any baptized Roman Catholic male could be chosen, but for over 700 years, the position has always gone to a member of the College of Cardinals. Even so, speculation surrounds every conclave. Will the next pope come from Africa or Asia, regions where Catholicism is growing fastest? Will he continue Francis's path of reform or steer the Church in a more traditional direction? The next pope inherits a global church facing enormous challenges. These include the rise of secularism, declining attendance in the West, religious persecution in parts of the world, and deep divisions over doctrine, governance, and inclusion. He will also inherit the legacy of Francis, who sought to shift the Church's tone. Francis emphasized humility, inclusion, and social justice. He was a pope who rejected the trappings of power and focused on compassion and outreach to the poor and forgotten.